let's talk about the Eagles and their performance yesterday against the New York Giants in New Meadowlands in New York. This was a big game for us because, we had a lot to prove, coming out of it. This was 2 big wins against the Broncos and against the New Orleans Saints. There's a lot of excitement in the air for the first time in probably a couple of seasons for their, the future of this team. And, you got guys like, Devontae Smith and Hurts and Miles Sanders. And going into this year, there's a lot of interesting pieces, but you kind of knew, new coaching staff, new looks. It's just going to be a different season. It's not, going to be anything too exciting. But, after those last 2 performances, many people were starting to be like, yeah, maybe the Eagles got it this year. Maybe this could be it. And, yesterday they proved that it isn't. That's not the case. And look, I was saying last week when I was talking about Nick Sirianni, I was saying, look, maybe I was a little bit too soon to call for his firing. That's probably not the right thing to do. Give the guy a chance, a whole season to at least, prove himself. Sure, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I'm going to adhere to that, but I will say that, what I said last week, I said the defense looked great, really great, I think is what I said. And, that was not the case this week. I can't say that about this week. This defense looked like a joke. It was sad. It was sad watching the mid-tier New York Giants offense just completely obliterate the Eagles defense. It was just frustrating. Let's go with happy and encourage. Because we are on a win streak. But, it's just frustrating how Sirianni, man, what is his deal with not wanting to run the football? How hard is it to just run the football? You have a great, young, talented running back. You have a great, young, talented back in Miles Sanders, and you're sitting there, throwing it 3 downs in a row. Early in the 4th quarter, they had the drive where they were coming down to try and take the lead. It was 13 to 7. And they were driving down the field to take the lead. And literally, we're running the ball really well with Boston Scott and Miles Sanders and just, having those guys just run it out. Boston Scott had a really good game, as he does always against the Giants. That's why he's the Giant killer. But, giving it to Boston Scott, giving it to, a lot of these guys, and running the football. And what do they do as soon as they get into New York territory? They start throwing the football. After Jalen Hurts had already had, 2 picks at that point? And it makes me feel a little bit better that in this game I was throwing so many picks with Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts looked like I was controlling him in that game yesterday. He was making some horrendous reads into double coverage. Just underestimating safeties being in position. He looked like a rookie. There's no way around it. And look, I'm not going to sit here and be on the train of, Jalen's not the guy. Let's wait it out. He's going to have these growing pains. This is going to happen. And what do we really expect? Him to come out and be amazing off the bat? Yeah, the kid looked interesting last year, but I think it's going to take some time to really, grow. And so no, I'm not going to be calling for his head like a lot of people are already. I'm not there yet. But, if by end of the season, in the middle of next year, he starts really being disappointing and not having games like he did last week and not being smart with the football, and he does the things like he did yesterday, I will eventually get on that train. It's like Ben Simmons. It's the same thing. But, I'm at least going to see the guy out for a whole year. And I'm saying the same thing with Nick Sirianni, even though I've been highly critical and unhappy with his performance, especially yesterday. He was horrendous. But with that being said, I do think he should, you know, I think he should get some chances still, you know, to you know, figure it out. I don't think he should be fired midway through his first season. And another thing, I mean, Jalen Hurts, I mean, Jalen Reagor, and Jalen Hurts. I mean, what is the deal with Jalen Reagor here, man? He dropped 3 balls on the final possession of the game, man. 3 balls, including 2 most likely touchdowns. One that probably would have been down on the 1-yard line, and one that was a touchdown. I mean, come on, man. The one went right through. One hit him right in the face. Mac went right through his hands. The other one, literally the final throw of the game. I mean, man, drops it right through his hands. Very similar to the ball that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside dropped. I forget what game that was. I think it might have been against Dallas or somebody. And Arcega-Whiteside, there was a deep ball thrown to him. It was last season, and it went right through his hands. Like, he jumped up to grab. I think it was against Detroit last season, if I'm not mistaken. He had a play like that where Carson Wentz threw it to Arcega-Whiteside, and the ball went right through his hands, just like Jalen Reagor yesterday. I mean, that's just, I mean, for everybody that was calling Jalen Reagor an Aguilar 2.0, y'all got some points yesterday. I'm not ready to say that quite yet, but there's definitely a better argument to be had after yesterday's performance. That was despicable. I mean, those balls were there too. It wasn't like earlier where Jalen. I mean, Jalen was. It was a risky read. The deep ball he threw to the front pylon of the end zone for Reagor that went through his hands. The one he threw on the sideline. That one was the right read, but that's a tough ball, and it was there. I mean, that's a risky ball, and he threw a pick similar to that earlier in the game, so it was crazy he went back to that. But, yeah, you know, that was crazy, but, yeah, it's just this team, man. They don't want to run the football. I don't know why they don't want to run the football. It's like, and it's like, don't give me this like, oh, linemen are getting hurt, which, yeah, that is the case, and I do think that definitely has something to do with it, but I don't think that is the end-all, be-all reason why we're losing games, because ultimately, like, you got to figure it out, like, especially when you have this good of, you know, weapons, and the fact that you couldn't move the ball on this team, man, against the New York Giants, bro, couldn't even move the ball on them. It was a joke. 3 and out, punt, pick. I mean, wow. Dumb penalties. Like, ugh. Just the more I think about that game, the more frustrating it's going to be for, you know, me to think about Nick Sirianni as a long-term head coach. I'm not there at all, man. He has not impressed me one. I mean, he's impressed me on a couple of drives this year, but he hasn't really impressed me for, you know, many of these kind of games, the close games. He's horrible in the red zone. Horrible. I think he's worse than Zach Taylor, and that's saying something. Because Zach Taylor is not a great red zone play caller. He's just lucky he has better athletes than Sirianni does, but also just terrible. They're both bad, but I would say Sirianni is worse than Zach Taylor because, I mean, the amount of time, like, he's good at getting into the red zone, but as soon as he gets there, it becomes the dead zone for Nick Sirianni. That's going to be a short. But seriously, it's true. Like, it's just he cannot punch the ball in. He doesn't want to run the football. Run the football, Nick, or get out. This is exactly why we wanted to get rid of like, did he not see any of the complaints from the fan base as far as, you know, why we didn't like Doug Peterson? It was because he didn't want to run the ball. And now we get another guy in who doesn't want to run the ball. I mean, let me see how many rushes there were. I think there was definitely more than there was earlier in the season, because he definitely felt the heat from it. But at the same time, yesterday the third quarter could have really used some outside zones, some situations where you pull some of these offensive linemen, even these young ones that don't have a lot of experience. Get them out in the open field, have them hit somebody. Playing offensive line. I've played offensive line in my past, and I can tell you the best thing for an offensive lineman is to pull and hit somebody in the open field. That's the most fun thing to do as an O-lineman. I mean, yeah, they had 33 rushes. And I will say, they are doing a lot more with Jalen Hurts on the design runs, which was something I wanted to see. But, I mean, they did run the ball, but not when they needed to. Third quarter, they were trying to force so many dumb passes. It's like, run the football. Why are you scared of this team? Anyway. That's my rant, though. Looking forward to it, though. Just closing this out before we get into the game. Yeah, it's disappointing, but at the same time, it's what we all expected this season. Were we really expecting this team to be, the real deal? I mean, seriously, nobody was looking into the season. Everybody was thinking this was going to be a rebuild season, and that's kind of what it should be. I think we should tank after that loss. After losing to the Giants, I think we should tank. We don't deserve to be in the playoffs. But, I mean, knowing the NFC East, knowing the NFC, knowing the extra playoff spot, they're going to keep us in the hunt, even though we don't deserve to be, but whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, I know. But at the same time, I do think this team has upside. And I think in a couple of years, give us some more offensive linemen, especially interior offensive linemen, because Driscoll is getting beat up a lot. Jason Kelsey, I think he went in and out of this game. Yeah, the offensive line definitely needs some fortification in this next draft for sure. But I still think it's better than the Bengals offensive line, and it's serviceable. So there's just really no excuse for what's happening outside of the fact that they just got beat yesterday by a team that wanted it more. And it's funny because the Giants really don't have that much to play for. So it's just like stupid, but whatever. Who cares?